It's good to see that Penn State baseball is getting even more studs, and they're competitive, dude. Like, watching them swing it this year's fun. And same thing on the mound. Watching them attack on the mound, it's fun.
Their offense is the real deal. I grew up idolizing everything Penn State. Like the Penn State football jersey that I have, I got in like sixth grade, and I still wear it on game day. So,
You were a really high prospect in high school. Like, you were a dude. You were the dude in high school, really. I saw that, and that was part of the reason I came to that organization, the success and the talent there, where, ultimately that's kind of how I got to know you.
All right, first episode, the On Deck Circle, talking Penn State baseball. I'm Christian Helsel, Penn State Baseball alumni here with Sal Biasi, also Penn State Baseball alumni. We were teammates and roommates. Got many stories, some I can share, some I can't. Our time at Penn State. But Sal, when I called you and told you or asked you about this, you asked me if I was still in baseball. I said, not really. You remember what you said?
I said, you're an idiot, probably.
No. So that's God bringing you back.
This is God bringing you back to baseball. Exactly, dude. The podcast is bringing you back to the game.
I can't get away, but we're super pumped to get on here and talk Penn State baseball. I mean, our times at Penn State meant a lot to us and really formed us into who we are today. But Sal, why don't you talk about kind of how you ended up at Penn State and where kind of baseball has taken you since?
All right, so I'm Sal Biasi. I went to Hazleton area. I was the class of 2014. My first year at Penn State was 2015. I actually played travel baseball locally in my area up until I was in about 10th grade. After 10th grade, I actually joined the Mid-Atlantic Canes with Christian's dad. Ultimately, that team kind of took us around the country. It put us on the travel ball circuit, and it started to get my name out there where I started to kind of get recruited, started to go through that process of the recruiting. And then ultimately, Penn State, it excited me. Me and my brother, we were in my grandmother's backyard actually, and he's like, "Yo, did you see what they did to Penn State's baseball field and the facilities out there?" And I didn't really have a clue, so I sent an email to the coaching staff when I was a senior, and it was in September of my senior year, and the pitching coach, he happened to see me a bunch that summer, and then later in September, I committed to Penn State. And the biggest part of that was like I went to campus in September, and I mean the energy there just it fired me up. It was just as soon as I stepped on campus, as soon as I was going through the tour, I saw the facilities. They're walking me through how we're gonna develop our process, all that stuff. Like I just got fired up by it, and I made that decision to go to Penn State pretty quickly. But essentially that's kind of my story on how I got there, and I'm happy that I went there. Ultimately I got no regrets. I was able to pitch very competitively for 3 years. My freshman year I came in in relief. I was more of a reliever. Came in fifth, sixth inning. As I started to get a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable, Coop started to bring me in a little bit later in the game. Ultimately my sophomore year, I transitioned to a starter, and that was something that was new to me because I really didn't start my whole career. I just kind of started throwing hard like my sophomore year of high school, my junior year of high school, and I just kept chasing it, and I got recruited, and this was my first year really starting. So ultimately, there was tons of bumps and bruises in that process, just learning, just the learning curve of being, ultimately a competitive pitcher, at the collegiate level in the Big Ten, where there is tons of talent. There's been tons of draft picks, through our years, and, in the most recent years coming up, where there's a lot of potential and a lot of talent coming out of the Big Ten. And then, my junior year, I started to get pretty comfortable with the starting thing. The summer before that, I trained as hard as I could to get as good as I could. And, I came back to school. I was pretty confident in, what I was doing. I started to get confident in myself as a pitcher. And, I had a really good season my junior year, which led to me getting drafted by the Royals in the 11th round. That summer, I started my professional career. I went to rookie ball, the rookie league, the Appalachian League. I played for the Burlington Royals. That summer, I actually won. It was like minor league pitcher of the year. So for that level, I won the minor league pitcher of the year. Finished that season, went home for the off season. Went back out to spring training, and that year they wanted to flip me back from a starter to a reliever. So, I'm back to kind of another learning curve year where, they thought my stuff, I started throwing harder, my breaking ball started getting better and stuff like that. They thought I profiled better out of the pen, so the Royals sent me to the pen. Same thing there. I had some ups and downs. I had a learning curve and some adversity to face, and ultimately trying to become, a reliever at the big league level. And later that season, I got traded for my first time to the Brewers. When I got traded to the Brewers, I had a really good month. I got traded in like the beginning of August. I played with the Brewers for like 5-6 weeks to finish that season. I posted some of my best numbers in my pro career. And, it was something it was kind of brand new to me, and where I went then back home for the off season, back to training, back to developing, go back out to spring training with the Brewers, and then get through spring training, get to the regular season, and boom, I'm traded again. And that spring training is, ultimately when I was kind of at my best when I was with the Brewers, and then I got traded to the Mariners, where like my physicality, my stuff, ultimately my command and stuff, I was really happy with where I was there. So I was really excited about that trade. That trade, it actually kind of meet one of the people that I respect most in the game right now, Max Wiener. He was our pitching coordinator. He was the pitching coach last year for Texas A&M. Now he's at the University of Texas. With my time with the Mariners, I played with a lot of good players. I was with, I saw Logan Gilbert. I saw Julio Rodriguez. I saw Jared Kelenic. I saw a bunch of studs with the Mariners, and I thought the way the Mariners developed players was pretty impressive. Unfortunately, that season I kind of had a shoulder injury that kind of prolonged through the rest of my career. And kind of when that shoulder starts to go a little bit, that's kind of when all your velo and all your stuff goes. Where guys get elbow injuries. There's a lot of elbow injuries now, but you see guys bouncing back from them quicker and quicker. But, ultimately with the shoulder, you do start to see some type of performance decline, where with the Mariners, I was struggling. I wasn't good. My performance was going down after my shoulder and stuff got hurt, and I got released from the Mariners. Continued to train, continued to do everything I could. I ultimately had really good analytics in the system. So then I got signed again by the White Sox, but like same deal. When I signed with the White Sox, like the shoulder just wasn't having it. My velo wasn't what it was. My stuff wasn't where it was, and I ultimately got released again. And then when I got released that time, that kind of led me to where I am now. I got released. I went down to Combine Academy. I trained with a guy, Ben Baggett. He works with a ton of players still. He's an unbelievable follow on Instagram, social media. Ultimately whatever players, coaches follow. When it comes to developing. After that, I came back home and I opened my own sports performance facility. It's called Apex Sports Performance. We're located in Mountaintop, Pennsylvania. I started training players and stuff, really consistently in like 2018. So when my pro ball career was going on, I was coming home, I was training guys, I was working with guys, ultimately, and the biggest reason was it was my younger brother's team. So, I was able to kind of help them develop, help send guys to school, and we were unbelievably successful with it. He was the class of 2022, and then ultimately we started a sports performance business. And right now I'm training guys to, do exactly what I did. I'm continuing to learn. I'm continuing to develop my knowledge in the game. I study the arm, like me, where I study. I have a very addictive personality where I'm studying the arm. I'm studying health. I'm studying strength and conditioning. I'm studying and taking courses on throwing programs and stuff like that. So I'm 29 right now, and I had Tommy John at 27. So ultimately, all the knowledge and stuff that I've accumulated over my life, over my career, with my experience, in my own search to make my arm as healthy as can be and to throw as hard as possible with the best stuff as possible. I share that information with the players and, ultimately the families of the kids that I train, where I have a ton of great kids. I have a ton of great families. I have a ton of great people that I work with. And, right now, what I'm doing is just trying to share that same knowledge, trying to keep educating guys, trying to, stay in the game as long as I could and keep pushing it forward. My biggest thing is, I want to keep up in the standard, right? And as athletes, as competitors, how could we get to the next level? How could we continue to get better? And, that hunger and that competitiveness that we have while we're playing and, we still have in our daily lives right now, it's a big part of who we are. And, I'm thankful for it all. I'm thankful for my high school career, my college career, my pro career, what I'm doing now. And, I got Tommy John at 27. I still throw. So, in case I could really let it rip, I'm not scared of getting back out there.
I think you're going to be 58 years old still slinging baseballs.
Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta
For
love
sure,
it.
and that's why you're on here as we kind of get deeper into the Penn State baseball season, talking about their team. Out of all the guys I've played with, you certainly are at the top of the list for most laser focused on development, like the best understanding of what you need to do to keep getting better and how to do it. I mean, I remember times when BA was so pissed at you for doing your own stuff, but you're like, I don't care. I know that I need to be doing this.
No, yeah, bro. And I look back at all that stuff, and I was a young player, and you yourself, dude, you had we had a ton of pride in what we did. You know what I mean? Like, we worked our asses off. We tried to get as good as we could, and we both wanted to play that game forever. And there's tons of guys that were in that same mindset, that same mentality with us at school and stuff like that, where I think that's one of the coolest things is just the chase of how good could you be, where I think you could take that into your daily life and challenge yourself as a human, a friend, a player, competitor, whatever it is. And that's
Without a doubt, and looking at our success, if you will, while we were at Penn State, you probably wouldn't even believe that there were guys like that on the roster, but there were a lot of them, and I think that the success that the team's having now is just a culmination of things moving in the right direction, but. I'm not patting ourselves on the back saying we started anything, but that culture of development kind of kept continuing and kept improving, and you can see it on the field now with the guys wearing the blue and white because the team they have this year in 2025 seems to be a pretty special team, got some special players, and we're really excited about that. My route to Penn State was a lot different than yours. I grew up in Altoona, Pennsylvania, right down the road. I grew up idolizing everything Penn State. The Penn State football jersey that I have, I got in sixth grade, and I still wear it on game day. So my dream was to be a Penn State linebacker. That wasn't in the cards for me. I joke around and say my dream still is to be a Penn State linebacker today, but baseball was my route. However, out of high school, I did not go to Penn State. I went to Ole Miss out of high school. I played there my freshman year. Playing summer ball after my freshman year, tore up my elbow and my knee. So I had to get Tommy John and got knee surgery. Ended up kind of the transfer portal was not a thing back then, but maybe I was the one that started the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's a totally
I entered
new landscape.
I put my name into the hat and kind of got back in the recruiting process while I was rehabbing, decided to come back to Penn State. And one of the best decisions I've ever made. Again, our teams were not as competitive as Penn State baseball is right now, which as a competitor and a man, it's hard to admit that, but it's true. But my
I'll
wife
tell you what, though, Christian, we played with a lot of dudes, dude. If you
Without
really
a doubt.
go from 2015, when we got there to current time, the amount of draft picks that came out of Penn State is it's up there.
And the guys that got picked were having success.
Still
professionally as
playing,
well.
to this day. I saw Taylor Lehman on the field last year. Jim Haley was on the field. Justin Hagenman just signed a big league deal with the Red Sox. And then ultimately my brother's class, like he got there in 2017 to 2019. Dante was a 6th rounder. And you look at Kyle Verbitsky, he was drafted.
Connor Larkin.
There's a ton of them, dude. I mean, you go through it, like there were some real studs, and it's good to see that Penn State baseball is getting even more studs, and they're competitive, dude. Like watching them swing it this year's fun, and same thing on the mound. Watching them attack on the mound, it's fun.
Their offense is the real deal.
I like it.
We haven't seen that. Last year they obviously had a great year, made a run in the tournament. The Big Ten tournament, and we're one win away from win the Big Ten tournament, moving on to the NCAA tournament, and that you can see it's just a continuation of that.
And they're building just upgraded. On that. Like this offseason, like they won the offseason.
Right, Gambino's doing an outstanding job. You can see the culture. They're intense. They're aggressive. They're out there to win games.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see.
Without a doubt, because Penn State has everything you need to have a successful program.
To dominate.
And the facilities, the resources, the name on the front of the jersey, like everything you need. They just haven't been able to take that next step, and it looks like they're doing that now. That there's a lot that's going to unfold in these next 43 games, however many they have. But they're off to a great start, and talking about our routes to get to Penn State, obviously, I keep referring to us not being super competitive when we were there, but regardless of our results on the field, like we have so much pride as alumni in Penn State, and that's what makes Penn State such a special place. That you have alumni, you have whole families of people. Generations that go to Penn State because they have so much pride in it. It's just like a special place, and us being alumni, it's humbling and it's a treat to be able to get on here.
Yeah, no, you only see that at places that have true tradition. And Penn State it does.
Yeah. Sal, why don't you
get back to telling them your story?
Where'd I end?
I don't know. You went to Ole Miss. You tore up your elbow and your knee.
Yeah, jumped into the transfer portal. Was pursuing NIL opportunities. They put you in jail back then for taking an NIL deal.
Oh my God! And dude, you were one of the guys that like before social media and all that even happened. Like you were what 2 years older than me, where you were a really high prospect in high school. Like you were a dude. You were the dude in high school, really. And, I saw that, and that was part of the reason I came to that organization, just the success and the talent there, where, ultimately that's kind of how I got to know you. So it was pretty cool when it kind of came full circle, and we were both at Penn State. That's pretty cool to think back on.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, and I went to Penn State, I spent 3 years at Penn State, so like you said, got to play with a lot of dudes that developed a ton and got to go play professional baseball and had super successful careers. So just the network and I think most baseball is such a small world. You form really close relationships. So as we go through this podcast, we're going to be having other alumni on. I promise you, we got group texts and group me's and whatnot, and we're talking about Penn State baseball all the time. Like everybody,
we both got some connections in the program right now. So bringing some of those guys on, I think will be exciting. Right now, one of their best hitters, Paxton Kling, he's a guy we've both seen, our whole life. There's a kid on the team right now from the Hazleton area high school, that I went to, Bryce Molinaro, and then, Derek Cease, he's another guy. He's comes off the bench. He's kind of the pinch runner, stealing bags and a defensive replacement. But, ultimately,
those guys are so important, by the way.
They are, dude. They are. Like, I'm proud of him. Like, I am. Like, he kind of took a back seat in his career and stuff like that. But, like, he's competing. I know who he is as a person. I know that, he's helping that team get better, even if he's off the field. If he's challenging, their starter, if he's battling for at-bats, he's challenging somebody to get better. And, it's cool. It's cool having those connections and, ultimately being able to follow along with the program and the success that's going on right now. They played their first Big Ten series this week against Indiana. They won the first one, they dropped the second, and then, they won the third one. And, the third win was a pretty gritty win. I believe they came from behind a little bit, and then they kind of just rolled them. So it's pretty cool, and it's pretty exciting to see how they started this season, and how they just started the Big Ten, where I think they're gonna go.
That third game to me was like, I was a believer in this team, following them. They're putting it to people. Now, granted, there are teams and programs that I believe Penn State baseball should, put in the dirt. But here's the thing: they are doing that. It's not like they're squeaking out wins against teams you think they should kill. They're going out there and smoking teams.
The home run numbers, the double numbers, all the extra base hits, all the big numbers, they're all up.
Right.
Even their pitchers, like, I've been following along, a lot more and closely. But their pitchers they're attacking guys. They're going after guys. They're not scared of nothing right now, and I like to see that mentality out there. Where they're really going after it. They're trying to win games right now. They want to win games, and they have the confidence to win games.
Yeah, and that third win, or the third game against Indiana that you were just alluding to, was really what made me a believer in them, because you kill them the first game and drop the second game, and then you come back and you give up the lead really early in the game, and sometimes it's hard to get the energy in the dugout back up. To go out and come back, and it didn't faze them at all, which tells me they believe in themselves a lot. And as we go through here, we're going to have players on, and hopefully coaches as well, where we can kind of get an inside look into what's really going on in that dugout. But just from a former player's perspective, I've seen so many times where that same exact situation, you get down early and the energy drops, and
you see teams just fold.
Yeah.
You win the first one, you drop the second one, you're down early, and you're ready to they're ready to go home. And
it feels good to take it serious from Indiana. I think I saw somewhere it's been since 2008 since we've beaten Indiana. It won the series.
Won the series for sure. Not me, though. My junior year, I gave it to them. 126 pitches later.
Oh, well, Sal, give me from our time at Penn State the memory that sticks out in your mind the most of your on-field, your time at Penn State.
I got, there's probably two outings that were pretty cool. And like that Indiana outing, that was a cool outing. Where that was kind of the back end of my junior year. And we were in contention to ultimately get in the Big Ten tournament, to get to the playoffs and stuff like that. So it was a big outing. And I loved having the radar gun on the board. I really did. And
I know you
Indiana
did.
had it there. And I'm out there in warm-ups, and it was nice and easy, like 88 to 91. And I'm like, all right, I'm in a good place where, that game, I think I was up to 94, 96 on my 118th pitch. Coop came out to me, in the 8th inning, and we were up 2-1. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not coming out of this game. Like, I want to beat these guys. And we ended up beating Indiana, and we ultimately ended up giving ourselves a chance to keep continuing and ultimately go to that playoff run. So that outing, was one of my, like, kind of my favorites that I kind of remember. My most devastating outing, honestly, maybe in my whole career.
My most devastating moment too.
Oh my God, dude! We're pitching. I'm at Maryland on Friday, and I have a no hitter, 8.1 innings into the game.
Complete domination, by the way. They had
Yeah,
no
and,
chance
and it
of
was
getting it.
quick. I think I was at maybe 90 pitches going into the ninth, and I actually threw. It was like 56 fastballs in a row to finish the game. And I go out there for the ninth inning. I strike the first guy up, and then Zach Jankarski comes up to bat. And I played with him on your dad's team. When we were with the Canes and all that. And he's one of those dudes that, like, if you're on his team, you love him. You do. You love him. You want to compete with him. You want to fight with him. You want to do it with him. But when he's on the other team, you want to kill him. And he is. He's that guy that you just
100%.
hate him on the other side. And I got him 3 times leading up to that ninth inning. And I'm telling you, I think I had 2 strikes on him. And we probably should have went breaking ball. But we go fastball elevated. And he goes up there and he gets it. Home run. And I'm like,
High ball game.
1-1, ninth inning. Nobody comes out. The stadium's rocking. My agent's at the game. There's how many scouts there, and the next pitch, the kid just takes me deep and walks it off 2-1 in the ninth. So that had to be that was devastating. And I mean,
That was a no hitter.
Scouts, I heard from my agent after that game, and they're like, dude, like, that's one of the best games we ever seen pitch, and we can't believe it ended like that.
That was 25 outs of a no hitter. And then back-to-back pitches, home runs, and
Miserable.
we lose the game.
That was terrible.
And that was like a turning point in our season where we had to win that series to stay in contention. And we had it, and just the baseball gods weren't on our side. I probably told that story more than any other story in my time at Penn State.
But then, I mean, we had that trip to Cuba. Like, that was sick.
Yeah.
That was fun. I mean, just going down to Cuba, like, seeing the culture, seeing the people, seeing their players, like, just how they love the game. Like, the fans were rooting for their players. They were rooting for us. Like, that was, and ultimately just seeing all that Havana, all that, the resorts and stuff, that was beautiful. That's something I'll never forget.
Probably one of the more humbling moments of my baseball career, because we go down there and we take our beat up baseballs that otherwise would get tossed.
Old spikes, old turfs.
Yeah, and these kids down there that just love baseball more than anything are dying to just get one baseball.
Yeah.
And we got buckets on buckets on buckets of baseballs. Mm-hmm. And the ones that we took down there, like, aren't even in use anymore. The players on the field, or the Cuban professional players, are asking me for my batting gloves.
Yeah, no. And dude, we gave them so much gear, and it was old, it was left over. We also brought down brand new gear and stuff like that. That we gave out, but, like, just the way they appreciated everything, and how grateful they were when, at least we were there. Like, it was cool to see that culture, because in professional baseball, it's kind of the same thing where, like, there's tons of Latin players, there's tons of foreign players in the game, and ultimately being able to see all those cultures, it's one of the coolest parts of the game of baseball, and that's why I'm proud to be a part of it.
And that speaks to just the opportunity that Penn State brings to not only athletes but just normal students as well. That you just have those connections all over the place and get to experience things that you otherwise would never get to do And we're super grateful and proud to have been part of that. So to be on this podcast and you're going to follow Penn State baseball throughout the year and hopefully bring some more eyeballs to the program, give you a behind-the-scenes look into the team because, every team has personality, and sometimes you don't really get a sense of that. You definitely don't just watching them on TV or however you may follow them. But that's our job on this podcast is to give you an inside look at the team, give our opinions of what's going on with the program. We're super bullish on where the program's headed right now. We're excited about it. And as we get going, you get to hear from more players. I hope you gain some more interest in Penn State baseball and the direction they're heading. But it should be a really, really fun year. And as we get into it, we're going to talk more about actual on-field stuff, what we're seeing from the team, their statistics. Obviously, they have some exciting players right now that are off to great starts, and hopefully they can continue that. But Sal, you got anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, no, I mean, same thing. I mean, me and you, we both just got the text, 30 minutes ago. Coach Gambino, I'm finishing up some stuff, but he's going to be ready to rumble.
He's ready to rumble.
So let's get this thing going.
All right, man. Well, next time we'll see you on the On Deck Circle. We'll be talking about what's going on in the season. But Sal, super excited to do this with you. Thanks for doing it. And
yeah, no problem. You too. Thanks for the call.
Yep.
I'll see you, Christian.